What's up, guys? Yes, I am now live. How is everyone doing? I wear a headset and it's always weird. I'm kind of talking to myself. All right, guys. So if you're just joining me, I am doing a Q&A today. So I'm going to do, I like to call it Instagram. So I'm just playing with my little stand here. I like to call it Instagram roulette, which means that if you want to come and join me and you have a question, I'm just going to choose random people. Please have your question ready. And I obviously am taking a chance because I don't know anyone. So I'm going to hope that it's a appropriate question. I did one of these last week and I did someone and they were like, oh, I thought I was going to talk to Tom. So that was a little awkward. If you're on my Instagram, guys, then I just want to preface that Tom is not here and it is just me. But so I'm answering the questions. I'm bloody freezing though. It's really cold today, so I've got my little sweater on. All right, I'm just going to go live and start. Let's have a look. Who should we choose? All right. Let's have a look. Joseph Di Bernardo. Come on down, Joseph. Hello, waiting for Joseph to respond. Meanwhile, hello, Smensu number one. Hello. Oh, hello, Joseph.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How you doing, sweetie?
That's awesome. Thanks for accepting me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. I love the Aussie. Is it Aussie or New Zealand? I'm not.
Yeah, I'm from Melbourne.
Oh, okay. How's it going down there?
Yeah, I mean, London's locked down for 3 weeks. So how about yourself?
Yeah, we haven't had an official lockdown, but everyone's quarantined and staying home. So I'm glad to see that you're safe, though.
Likewise. I appreciate your time. Just
Of
a quick
course,
one.
yes.
I appreciate what you guys do. Last year, I started interviewing some people from around the world that sort of inspired me along my journey. And I've got about 19, 20 interviews that have pre-recorded, like Jack Canfield and a few other people. I was just wondering what your advice is around, I haven't launched it yet. I haven't put it out into the world. And I feel like now's the time. It's about self-belief and self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering, sort of, obviously you guys have got an amazing show. So
Thank you.
if you've got any advice around maybe pushing past that fear of just getting started with it.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What are you waiting for?
I think it's just like, I don't know, maybe it's perfectionism. Maybe I'm just waiting like to have an amazing website, waiting for the magical moment. But yeah, just some advice around,
Yeah. So, well, Tom and I, we literally don't wait. So we know that we're going to mess things up. We know we're going to fail. We know we're going to do some things where we're going to look back and go, oh God, that was a terrible idea. But momentum matters. And so we make sure that we force ourselves to just keep going. So even when I started Women of Impact, it was like, I'd never been a host before. My entire career had been behind the scenes. I was supporting Tom, supporting our company. And I didn't know what it was like to be in front of the camera like that on a constant basis. But I was like, I have to learn from my mistakes. And if I don't put my stuff out there, I can't learn from it. So right now, how many did you say you've got in the can?
About 19.
All right, so you've got 19. Each one that you've recorded, your lesson from each one is only going to be in your own head. You can't get feedback because you haven't put it out there. So what I do is I put content out there and then I listen to people. Do they like it? So let's even take Quest, right? When we did products, we started to do our prototype, and we would make about 200 boxes and we would put it out there, only 200, and we just asked people, give us your candid feedback. And we would get that feedback, and based on the feedback, and then of course you don't just want to take everybody's word as gospel, you want to assess it, but we would take that feedback and go, okay, what do we actually believe? Okay, actually it is too sweet. We kind of had that in the back of our head. Now a lot of people are saying it's too sweet. So now we want to adjust accordingly. The same with your podcast. You're going to get feedback. You're going to get people saying, oh my God, I love this part. Or people like, yeah, I kind of fell off the, I wasn't interested in this. And you're going to get that feedback and you can use it for the next time. So don't think of it as being scared to be perfect. Think of it as being, this is the most amazing lesson you can learn. And you're holding yourself back from learning that lesson.
Yeah, agree. Thank you. I appreciate it. I was going to say it's ironic that it's about self-belief and it's the one thing that I'm struggling with. It's just so funny. So anyway, I'll get it out there, and I just really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, well, everyone watching, where can we watch it or listen to it? What are you going to call it?
It's called Unleash Your Inner Greatness.
Amazing. So if I start typing Unleash Your Inner Greatness next week, will it be up?
It will be. I'm just going to figure out how to do it, but it will be. I'm going to get it live. So I'll send you an email.
Please do. And you just promised me, so I'm going to hold you to that. Send it at connect. There's Mr. Bilyeu right there.
Hey, Tom.
He said
Hope
hello.
you're well.
So yeah, I will send us a link at connect@impacttheory.com, and
thank you.
Of course, check it out. But do just go for it. That's how you're going to learn.
That's awesome. I really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you,
safe.
sweetie. Take care. You too, my
have
dear.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye.
All right, guys, if you are just joining me, I am doing Instagram roulette. I'm taking just random questions from you guys to join me. So you can, I'm also answering live questions below, so you can also drop it in the bottom. And then also I like to do shout outs. I want to know where people are joining from. So let me know where you're joining from. And I'm going to just keep doing this. Keep calling it Instagram roulette. It feels fun when I say it. All right, so let's do. All right, come on down, Manuela. I can't pronounce the last name. Conejo. Manuela Conejo, come on down. Come on down, girl. All right, so while we're waiting, we do some shout outs to Australia, Hawaii, South Africa, Tunisia, and Pakistan. Thank you guys so much for freaking joining. Love that. Still waiting for my girl to join. If she doesn't join, then I will maybe go to somebody else. Let's see. All right, guys, if you were just joining me, I'm doing random and I can't find the thing anymore. Oh, no. All right. Ask to join below, guys. I can't find the little link. It needs to pop up again. Okay, and until then, I'm going to keep answering questions. Who inspires who back at the office? Ooh, Tom is definitely like the main visionary. Like when he talks, it's like everyone just starts to congregate. He's very passionate about things, so he definitely is a massive source, and I would say absolutely the key source of inspiration within the company. But the truth is that we have such an amazing team, and I'm not just saying that because they're my team because I really believe it. And we just all really try and inspire each other. So to be honest, like we encourage each department to interact. Like tomorrow, one of our girls, Carlotta, I don't know if she's watching, but she reached out and was like, hey, I really want, like we normally do these team lunches with our company, and that's a way of all of us bonding. It's like being in proximity and spending that time together. And because we're all quarantined, she actually reached out and was like, I'd love to have like a virtual lunch. So we've told the whole team to bring their lunch with them, and we're all going to sit and do a massive Zoom call, and we're going to play some games. And so that's actually just a way of inspiring each other, keeping each other motivated. Emotions and feelings are infectious, so we want to make sure that we are infecting, pun intended or not intended, we are infecting each other with the right vibes and the right emotions and the right spirits. So if you're just joining me, guys, I am accepting people live. If you make a request, I'm sure there's like an easy way. There we go. All right, let's try this now. This is, all right, let's go to Kalina Gudazi. Kalina Gudazi, come on down until she joins. Oh, we got a health quiz. Oh, I think she's connecting. I think she's. Hello! How are you, sweetie?
Oh, I'm good. Just, finished meditating with Jay, and tears are just flowing right now. So.
Whoa! Well, so first of all, Jay's meditations are amazing. I haven't actually personally taken them myself. I've watched them, but I know just like how many people think that they're incredible. So if anyone's watching and you want some good meditation tips, Mr. Jay Shetty, my homie, is amazing. So you just finished. Where are you calling from, sweetie?
I'm in Fresno, California.
Oh, okay. Nice and sunny there.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And I love the
rainy
hair.
The last few days. Oh, thank you. I just did this a few days ago, actually.
Oh, did you? Oh, that's interesting. What made you shave your hair?
So I've been reading the Bhagavad Gita and about attachment and all that, and I realized I have a strong emotional attachment to my hair, so I was like, off with it.
Whoa. And how do you feel?
Amazing. I feel like I could be
Really?
anyone. Yeah,
That's
just a
so
whole new
amazing.
person.
There's something
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that the psychology in that. You know, for me, it was also changing my hair was just an expression of my true self. So I love that. Well, welcome. What's your
Yeah.
question, girl?
Thank you. Oh man, this is a tough one. Has to do with relationships, and it's just kind of, when do you like decide when it's worth it to keep putting in the effort, and when do you see like no improvement and it's like, okay, what am I doing this for, you know? So that's what I'm trying to deal with right now is, you know, is this a healthy relationship or is it toxic, and am I just convincing myself otherwise, and you know, that whole
Yeah. Well,
you
first
know.
of all, thank you so much for being open and vulnerable. That's super powerful, and I know that that stuff can't be easy, so I do appreciate that. Second of all, I used to be before Tom, in an unhealthy relationship, and I kept going back, and I kept hearing that he was going to change, and he was going to change, and he never did.
Right.
I was at that time, I was definitely like, I wasn't secure and confident in who I was. So I think that that's actually a really big deal, is looking at yourself and making sure that you feel like you understand your worth. Right. And if you don't right now, then I would focus on that, because once you focus on what, you know, and believe that you're worthy, you'll start to draw lines in the sand, right? And at least that's what I did. So once I started to believe more in myself and work on my own self-esteem, drawing those lines in the sand made it very easy to say, oh, you crossed that line, I'm done. So that's one thing. And then also just assessing, are you making changes? Are you altering your behavior? And are you working on it? And if you are and that person isn't reciprocating, then the actions say everything, right? People can sit there and tell you, I love you, you mean everything to me, what am I going to do without you? Like, I got all of that from my ex-boyfriend, that he tried to put the guilt treatment on me. No one's ever going to love you like I love you. So then that fear factor came in of like, oh my God, is this true? Maybe that is, because I didn't believe in myself. So I was like, well, maybe I'm not worthy to be loved, right? So like, this whole internal dialogue that you might be going through, like, you have to really start dissecting. And sometimes I do wonder, and I'm not a therapist or anything like that, but I do wonder when you ask the question, if you actually already know the answer.
Yeah. Definitely. I feel like I'm just at that stage where I'm trying to elevate myself so much, and like I want to bring him up with me, and there's just like that resistance, and it's like, okay, well, if I'm working on myself, but you're still, you know, you're not willing to work on yourself, then at some point there's just going to be a whole, you know, I'm going to feel up here, and I don't want, you know, it's tough, because like I want to bring you up and I want you to be up with me, but at the same time I can't let that person bring me down.
And you said a key point there of, he has to be willing, because there's a big difference between someone being willing and failing and someone not being willing. So if Tom wanted to improve because there was a problem in our relationship and he was willing to do it, and I could see the effort, but he just kept failing, I would stick with it. It's like his heart is in it, but just because he's failing doesn't mean that he doesn't want it. But if you start seeing someone saying, oh my God, of course I'm going to do this, I'm going to improve, and then you just see they're not willing, you can't force them, right? And I think you know that deep down, especially if you're trying to work on yourself. Let me tell you, self-improvement is already freaking difficult. If you're now trying to drag someone along with you, God, it's going to be so tough.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I think that's what I needed.
All right, well, girl, thank you so much. And thank you for inspiring people. I've already seen down in the comments below how many people love the fact that you just owned your hair. And so mad respect, girl.
Love to all of you guys out there too. Thank you.
Love that. Thank you, sweetie. You take care.
You too.
All right, bye. All right, guys, if you are joining, I am answering questions live. Just ask, throw in a request. But I also do want to actually answer some questions below in case some people I want to help people that may not want to come on camera. So I'm going to go over to a question. Oh, this is interesting. This is from McCroops. Who's the boss in your relationship? It's inspiring to see your relationship over the years. Okay, so the word boss to me insinuates that someone has a hierarchy and the other person has to follow. So I wouldn't actually use that word in my relationship. The words Tom and I like to use is alpha male and beta male. Now, going back to at least growing up, I had always seen beta males as being very submissive, gives up who you are, is just a pure follower. And then Tom and I watched this documentary, and it was about wolves. And these wolves, they show the dynamic within a pack. And so in a pack, there's always the alpha male and there's always the beta. But what was absolutely fascinating was the beta male was actually the executor. They were the one that was going out and making things happen. They were the ones that were bringing the food to the table, if you will. And so when you started to look at these dynamics, the alpha male literally would die without the beta male. So first of all, we had to address the stigma around those titles and really assess what they mean. And then we started to implement them in our relationships. And we had to separate between the business partnership and then the personal partnership, because they are different. So Tom, in the business, if you guys have read Rocket Fuel, it really does put this stuff into perspective. So Rocket Fuel says that the alpha, the visionary, is the rocket. But without fuel, the rocket doesn't freaking move. And so you need the integrator, is what they call it, the beta male executor, however you want to say it. They are the fuel. And so the importance of that role is so fundamental. And so we broke that down because I didn't feel good about being called, even calling myself a beta male, because I was like, am I putting myself down? So really establishing what those titles are and what they mean, so you can really embody. Okay, so then I started to realize, wow, a beta male is actually freaking powerful. Like, it's kind of like I think it was in my big fat Greek wedding, where it's like, he is the head and the woman is the neck. Kind of like, that's how I kind of see it. So Tom is absolutely the visionary. I have been the integrator in our business this whole time, but now I'm actually stepping into a more of a visionary role, being on camera, doing a lot more of this sort of thing. So we're just embracing that is the reality of our growth. And so we are constantly talking about it through each stage, because it's super important to remember that you guys are growing and your partners are changing and growing. So I am not the same woman I was when Tom married me, because I have grown and I've changed. But we are communicating all the way through this growth and change, that you don't feel like, you know, I've heard so many sad stories about marriages ending because you hear people say, I woke up one day and I didn't know who that person was. Well, the truth is you weren't looking and you weren't communicating to see how the difference in the change is going. So we do not use the word boss, but in the house, we absolutely say who has final say, right? So when it comes to the way the house is done, I was the one that I felt more passionate about it. So it was like, okay, this is going to be my domain. So if we come into conflict, I get final say. And we've agreed that. Now, in the business, if we come into conflict, Tom gets final say. And we've agreed that. But we made these agreements, which when we call it emotionally sober, which means that it isn't when you're in the moment and you're feeling really strongly. It's when you're both super even keel. You can sit down and go over what happens. Because when you come to a head, how do you resolve it? And in those moments, you have to have what we call rules of engagement, rules of how you're going to act and how you're going to show up. So that was definitely like, we break things down and we're so like very, very detailed about each step, so that there's no confusion. There's no butting heads and then that argument goes on for the next 3 weeks, right? It's like, no, you deal with it and you move on. All right, so I'm going to take a live question from, what the hell what just happened there? I am trying to get, all right, going live. Oh my God. All right, my girl, I'm just going to accept her. So Nicole Elias in the house. Guys, this girl has been my best mate since we were 9 years old. And there's my godson. Hello, guys. Oh my God, look at my godsons. What's up, guys? How you doing? You driving your mummy crazy?
She's driving us crazy.
She's driving you guys crazy. What, do you have a question?
No. Yeah, when can we come to your house?
Once the quarantine is over, hopefully you guys can fly to LA.
We love you.
Oh, I love you. Thanks for saying hi, guys. Love you guys. I'll call you later. Speak to you later. Bye. Oh my God, how freaking cute was that? So that's my best friend. We've been friends since we were 9 years old. My eldest friend on the planet, and my two godsons. That was so lovely. Oh my God, they just warmed my heart. Okay, next person. All right, let's go to, I'm going to choose Fit Boss Lady. Come on down, Fit Boss Lady. What you got? What's your question? What's your question? Oh, I hear it's connecting. Fit Boss
Hi.
Lady. Hello, sweetie.
Hi.
Lovely to meet you.
Oh, well, I've seen you. I went to Rise last year. So
Oh my God, that's so cool. Is that how
that's
you
how I
guys have...
connected with you and Tom and Impact and Women of Impact,
Oh my God,
because
that's
I'm a
amazing.
woman of impact. So
Hell yeah, girl. I love that so much. Where are you calling from?
Northern California.
Okay. And how you doing quarantined over there?
Pretty good. I have an underlying health condition. It's almost exactly what you have.
Oh, okay.
So
Digestive issues?
yes.
Oh, let's talk about that.
And some lung issues, but earlier this week they were pretty lit up. And I had made some bad decisions about food and taking in stress. I'm the CEO of a $30 million company that relies on payments from consumers who are in bankruptcy. So if they're all laid off, then I have 19 employees that I'm paying. Some are working from home, but the internet. And the hourlies can't work, but I'm paying them. I'm committed to paying them through the next payroll. But there's a lot of unknown and anxiety, as you guys are dealing with too. So, and I noticed today that you posted that your stomach, you've been having issues this week.
Yeah.
And you said you went back to figure out why. And I just wanted to know what your targeting is. Do you do a food journal? Do you really get deep into your emotions so that you can change what's going on to, not have those issues, which you actually think are COVID-19
Right. Yeah.
symptoms, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right. So if anyone's just joining, I have health issues, have been battling for the last 4 years. And so the question is, how am I dealing? So I'd had some disturbances, if you will, over the last few days. And I posted about it. So thank you for asking. So here's the thing. Over the last 4 years, I've started to really get in tune with my body. I did 6 months of food diarying, where literally every day I would write the time, what I drank, when I had a bowel movement, what I ate, how I was feeling cognitively, how my body was feeling. And I did this consistently. Like I took ownership, and like with you, it's like, yeah, I did this to myself. I totally recognized that for 15 years prior, I was a restrictive dieter. I thought fat was bad. I thought carbs were bad. I was getting sick. I was getting infections because which I didn't realize at the time, 70% of your immune system is carried in your digestive system. So I wasn't feeding my gut. I was getting sick. They were giving me antibiotics. It was killing my gut bacteria. You do that long enough, 15 years later, you have SIBO, leaky gut. So I've had a lot of issues. So I just took ownership. First of all, I don't beat myself up over it. It's like, oh my God, the best news is if I did it to myself, then it means I can actually heal myself. So I see it from, this is the most amazing news ever. I can now fix my own gut. It is all my fault. This is beautiful. It is in my control. Okay. So where does that start? Get to know your body, right? Start to write down every single, treat it like a job, like every single thing. And then also, based on what you're saying, right, running a $30 million company is freaking stressful. So I would also write how I was feeling just from a work standpoint. Am I feeling overwhelmed today? Do I have a lot of work on? Did I give myself grace? Am I beating myself up over something? So I would really break it down. And when you do that consistently, and guys, you have to commit. If you really want the answer, you have to commit, right? So if you want that consistency, you have to be consistent in order to get to the end. So I was doing that for 6 months. That taught me so much about myself. And I started to see patterns. I started to see that my gut would fall apart on shoot days. So I started to realize, every time there's an impact theory shoot, like I would just look at the pattern. When would I get massive stomach cramps? And my stomach cramps would get to the point where sometimes it was hard to breathe. Sometimes I'd be cramped on the floor in a huddle. And so I started to go, okay, when did those things happen? And I started to notice they were on shoot days. Now, this is before I realized stress had anything to do with health. So I was like, that's really weird. And then I started to notice on days that I would stop and eat, stop work and eat, I felt better. I started to notice the days that were less stressful, I would have more of a bowel movement. So I literally would start to notice patterns based on my own journey, starting to understand myself. And once I started to do that, I could then test and assess, right? So it's like, okay, well, if people are saying to you, Lisa, time and time again, stress is a contributor, just take that as truth, right? And then see if it works. So stop eating and working at the same time. How do you feel? So I did that over time. And so over a period of, a good couple of years where I've been practicing, I'm starting to notice triggers, and I'm starting to make sure that those triggers stay like very strong in my mind. And so the triggers are, if I'm not sleeping well, or I shouldn't say triggers, the symptoms, right? Like what is going on with myself? I may not even feel stressed. I may be like, these sort of Instagram lives, I love doing these. I love connecting with you. So I don't actually feel stressed. But the thing is that I'm starting to notice I'm losing sleep. Okay, well, that's a signal. And that's a signal I have assessed over the years and put it as a marker for me to pay attention to. So I know, okay, I'm not sleeping well. I'm starting to notice I'm not having energy. I'm starting to notice that when I'm going to bed, I still have a stomach ache. And it's been maybe 3 or 4 hours since I've eaten. So I start to pinpoint these things that I call as red flags. And once you've assessed for yourself, what are your red flags, and start to pay attention. And like, if you have to put them on post-it notes and put them around your house so you don't ignore them, because it's easy to ignore them, especially when you're busy, right? You're saying, I've got employees and I'm having to deal with this emotional stress and all of these things, but you cannot ignore your red flags. And so you have to do whatever you must, whether it's an alarm, put in your phone, right? Do a random time of day and just say, I'm checking in with myself, and set an alarm. And when that alarm goes off, you have to take 5 minutes to yourself to write down how you're feeling. But being very, very deliberate in being in tune with your body, because it is super freaking easy when you've got a lot on your plate and you've got other people's lives at stake and other people's well-being at stake, that you're going to run yourself into the ground. And I have realized that even though I can run myself into the ground, because I try to pride myself on, like, Lisa, you can do anything, but it's detrimental to myself. So now, instead of priding myself on the person that can run myself into the ground, I'm the person that prides myself on recognizing when the triggers have been set and the red flags are. I pride myself on recognizing those and being able to adapt. And if I keep reaffirming my pride is based on adaptation and not on grind, or not on being a badass all the time, then I'm able to still keep my ego and self-esteem in check, right? Because now I'm priding myself on, like, oh my God, Lisa, I'm so proud of you. You were able to recognize that that was actually detrimental to your health and you adjusted.
Yay. Okay.
So I
All
hope that
makes
gave some
sense.
clarity.
It did, and I've done it. That's how I got diagnosed and started down the holistic and the food path, and just let all of this get to me. And I'm not consuming news more than once, like in the morning, and just statistics, because I'm a data person, and then move on. But
that's good. Make sure you get those red flags in place.
And
that you
I know what they
those
are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? Sometimes even when I have these discussions, and I think I said up to the person, I don't know if you're watching, but the person before you, is that most of the time, deep down, we kind of know the answer.
I know it.
Right? And sometimes you either just need to hear it but from somebody else in the right moment. And Tom and I talk about this as a lot, is that I can say something to him or he can say something to me time and time again, but someone else says it. There's something about someone not knowing you, someone being that, like, there's no what's the word? There's no investment, right? So if Tom's saying it to me, I'm like, well, he's trying to say it because he loves me and he's saying it to be nice. It's like when someone says, oh my God, I love your shoes. And you're like, oh, hang on a minute. I just said that and you didn't care. But now all of a sudden it's made your day that the stranger said they love your shoes. It's because they've got no incentive, right? It's like they don't know you. They don't know your shoes. They didn't have to stop and say they like your shoes. So it almost brings more weight to the table.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa. I love you. I love following you.
Thanks
for being a badass.
Oh, you too, girl. Appreciate you. Take care, sweetie.
Okay. Bye.
All right, bye. Oh no, I just flipped it. No, sorry. Oh God, what have I just done? Oh no, I have flipped this. Oh no, guys. I flipped the camera. All right, so I don't know what I'm doing. How do I unflip it? Does anybody know? I don't know how to unflip this thing. I don't know how to unflip this. I can't even see myself if I'm in frame now. This is hilarious. Oh, damn it. All right, any advice? Can someone slack me? Michelle, who's watching, can you slack me how to flip this? And until she does, I pressed the wrong button. That's why I'm so sorry, guys. I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm just going to do some shout outs until I get some instructions on how to flip this back over. So we've got we've got Slack. My girl's watching and slacking me questions. She's laughing at me. All right, shout outs to Romania, Washington DC, India, Toronto, Lithuania, London, Kenya, Argentina, and Botswana. Amazing. Thank you guys. Oh, she's telling me to double tap. Let's see if this works. All right, double tap. Michelle, you. All right, guys. So I'm back. And that's actually a perfect example of, oh, and my headset's now falling out. I'm a mess. So this is a perfect example of somebody who just said, what do I do because I'm worried about needing to be perfect? I just completely own my imperfections. And hopefully I entertain you guys while I do it, because that's really the goal. Because the truth is, I'm not freaking perfect. I don't have a PhD on how to work Instagram stories or Instagram live. And so what I do is I lean into it and I just play along with it. So now my headset has gone and I have no idea where it's even gone. And this is insane. A little bit more of a mess than normal, so I'm just going to take this out. And hopefully you guys can still hear me clearly. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. All right, so we're going to, nobody's perfect. Exactly. I used to strive for perfection and I wonder why my gut is terrible, right? It's like, I just now accept I'm not perfect. None of us are. So even during this quarantine, guys, you're going to mess up. You're going to do things you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Give yourself grace. It is what it is. No one's perfect. So, all right, so okay, you guys can hear me, that's good. I'm answering questions live, so let's go into another question. Sorry guys. All right, let's go to, all right, GG0609. Someone says they love this, hee hee. Oh good, see, that's encouragement, right? Is that when you do something and you mess up and you just make fun of yourself and you don't take it seriously, see, people respond. So if ever you're encouraged, trust me.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
So I need to say this. I was live with Tom yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, really?
So I'm a big fan of you guys. I changed my life by listening to you. I got talking to some of my mentors during this period. So yeah, this is amazing. And since I've listened to you guys, I lost 30 pounds.
Whoa.
I'm on my way to do a six-pack. And I'm only seeing the opportunities in what's going on here. But I have a question. I don't know how to celebrate my wins, basically. So I'm always pushing myself further and further, but I don't stop and say, don't forget where you are, because when you are working on your mindset, it's actually, you're never going to stop. So I like the 80-20 approach that Tom talked about that, but I think that for me it's the other way around. It's like, if I let it go, so I'm not as forgiving with myself.
For a second, sweetie? I think people are saying it's echoing a little. I don't know if that means you need to take your headset off, or if that means, and I just found my other headset. So let me try putting my headset on and see if that makes a difference for people listening, because I want to make sure that guys.
Okay.
Is the echo
Is
gone?
it better? Sorry, I wasn't.
I'm gonna wait for us. Yeah, I'm gonna wait for people to let me know. Girl, fix your sound. I got you, girl. We're working on it. That's from the Tully approach. That was a project. That's pretty funny. Okay, I think okay, sounds better. All right. So if you don't mind just starting from the beginning of the question, that'd be amazing.
So for me, it's like and Tom told me this in his when he answered. He's like, when I say I'm seeing the opportunities in this, it makes me focus on that. Like your attention is gonna go, your focus is gonna go where your attention goes. So that's what I did in the last couple of days. And I'm putting myself out there, seeing. I don't care. I'm gonna acquire the skills that I need. Because I told Tom I want to be on a show one day, and I also want to be the one that outruns you guys. I know that's a big statement, but this is what he says. He says, I want to do something bigger than Disney, and I know the audacity. So for me, this is it. So everything started, I'm going to share this, and then I'm going to ask a question.
Okay.
2 years ago, when I achieved one of my dreams, and I was not satisfied because it was an outside thing. And then I started working on my brain and then on my body. So the change started from inside out, because everybody's like, how did you manage? And I'm like, it all starts here. And then you go take care of yourself. But my question is like, I'm not forgiving if I make a mistake. Like if I say, I'm going to work out, I'm working out every day. But if I skip a workout, I'm beating myself too much over that. I don't celebrate my wins. It's like a race, but sometimes I just need to stop and breathe. How do I do that?
How do you stop beating yourself up?
Yes, and embrace what I'm doing.
So I'm not sure if you already said this. Do you celebrate your wins?
No, I don't. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So that's a big thing, right? It's like just instinctually, it's so natural for us to beat ourselves up when we fail. But when we succeed, we don't. And so it's going to be important to implement a strategy on how you celebrate your wins. So that's actually the first thing. So let's talk about that, and then we'll talk about when you beat yourself up. So what are the things that would make you feel good? Like, what is your, let's say, your love language? Like if I was to say, would it be through language? Like, oh my God, you did a great job. Is it through, oh, I'm making more money? Is it through a title? So like when I work with my team, we sit down and we say, what is your language of appreciation? Because if you're doing an amazing job, I want you to feel appreciated. Now, my instinct is to give someone an accolade, right? Oh my God, you're so amazing. But some people don't want that. Some people just want a better job title. Some people want a pay rise, and they don't care what words I say to them. So what is that for you? What is that one thing? Is it a pat on the back? Is it words? Is it looking in the mirror and seeing a physical change? Like, what is that thing for you?
I think it's more behavioral, because everybody around me is doing that, praising me. And it doesn't make, so I think I need to change my behavior towards me.
Right, but if you're changing but when you're changing your behavior, you want to know what type of behavior to change and what to change into. So what is the thing that makes you feel good about yourself?
That I achieve everything I put my mind to. But when I achieve it, I'm like, okay, so what's next? So it's jumping from one thing to another.
Right, exactly. So when we were growing Quest, Tom and his business partners were all exactly the same. It was like, we made second fastest growing company in North America, and everyone was like, oh man, we didn't make first, and then they just kept going. I was like, whoa. I was like, can we just take a second? Like, let's just stop. And it was because I would force myself, and it's all based on lessons I've learned. So looking back at when I was younger, I didn't give myself a pat on the back enough. And so no wonder I didn't feel good about myself. And so when I recognized and accepted that that's just the way it happened, right? I wasn't patting myself on the back. I wasn't feeling good about myself. And that has led me to here. So I have to change that action. So you already know you have to change your actions, right? You have to start making your wins count. So how do you do that? So for me, it was the next time I get a win, no matter how big or small, I'm going to literally cut my thought off right there and be like, and even do the face. Like, I'll look in the mirror and you think I'm joking, but I'm not. I'll look in the mirror and be like, yeah. Well, and it's something very small, but internally I start to feel that because I've looked at myself in the mirror, I've given myself a little nod, I've patted myself on the back, I start to feel better about myself. You have to figure out what that thing is. Like, even if it's like, I'm just going to give myself an hour to take a bath because I love baths. Like, what's a reward for you? Is it like, I like to play video games, so I'm going to allow myself that I work so freaking hard, but I'm going to allow myself 1 hour to play video games. Like, maybe even give yourself a reward like that, where it's like, okay, this actually makes me feel good. And so now you're going to, every time you get a win, you start to give yourself that reward. You start to feel good about it. And hopefully it becomes a cycle, which is what happens with me. Now, the beating yourself up perspective, that's a tricky one because you have to see if it becomes detrimental to you or not. So for me, sometimes looking at myself in the mirror and saying, Lisa, you effed up, is the most empowering thing I can say to myself. Because if I look in the mirror and I say, you effed up, I'm like, all right. But if I effed up, it means that I can also do an amazing job. I can change it. So when I say to myself, Lisa, you messed up, it is empowering. So you need to be very self-aware on if the way you talk to yourself is empowering or detrimental. Because a lot of people talk about loving yourself, only being nice to yourself, but that doesn't work for me. So it's like, I'm just not going to do it because it doesn't work, right? And so if you know Tom and I, it's always like, do what serves you, stop doing what doesn't serve you. And so for me, being always nice to myself doesn't serve me. Being a bit harsh with myself sometimes does. So right now you have to say, someone's actually put at the bottom, self-awareness, right? It's like, how aware are you of what the voice is in your head and how that's making you feel? So if, for instance, right now, all the negativity, the voice of you're not good enough, if that's only detrimental to you, right? And if it's not, in fact, instead of assuming, how is that for you?
Well, it was a lot. Then I changed it to you're not good enough yet. Now I have good days and bad days. And the thing with what you said is, with the quarantine, when I wake up, is this is my fault. So if I know it's my fault, I know I can change it. So I'm using that 80% of the time. But it's like, I don't enjoy the win. That's my only issue.
Yeah.
But I'm always beating myself up because that helps me. I'm also coming from an Orthodox family, so the culture is very similar to yours. So is that idea, we're not the type of person to say you did a great job. We're gonna pat you in the back and we expect more from you.
Yes.
But sometimes this is my issue, is how do I celebrate my wins? Because I'm scared, scared is a good thing, to don't fall into the other side and let myself go and say, oh, I did it and that's it. I just want to put it all out there.
Yeah, and so, you know, if you've got, like, for me, I have a really big goal, right? So it's like we're trying to build a studio bigger than Disney. Yeah. So so if I didn't give myself any wins, like, imagine I for 30 years, because we think it's going to take us 30 years to build a studio that big, like, oh my God, I would break. So I know myself well enough, and I've told myself, if I don't give myself these wins, I can't show up. And so it's kind of like, well, Lisa, you better give yourself the wins, because you're going to get in your own way otherwise. Like, literally right now, right, you're getting in your own way because you're not giving yourself the wins. Do it like you do with your job. If you give yourself, you know, with your career and your weight loss, like, it has to be part of your routine. It has to be part of, you're not gloating. You're doing what is necessary to allow you to show up tomorrow.
Yeah. I think you touch on it, because it's about the pride that's in it, that, I'm not gloating. I'm just, Yeah.
So now literally say, if I don't celebrate my wins, I'm holding myself back.
Okay. Yeah.
So hopefully
thank you.
That helps, really.
It helps a lot. And thank you. So in the last couple of days, I got in touch with you, with Tom, and someone from, I forgot the name, but someone else. So I think people should put focus on being more productive during this time.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anyone's watching right now, you are an amazing example of how to be handling it, because you're not saying, oh, there's no problem. It's like, no, I'm struggling, but now's the time for me to be able to be working on this and staying positive. I freaking admire that. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing this.
Thank you. And I'll definitely meet you one day.
All right. You're going to come to Women of Impact and Impact.
Right? That's what I want. Yeah, that's my goal.
I'll
I actually listened your episode today with, I don't know her name, but she said about the makeup and that she wasn't a model and how she built that company and how everybody rejected her.
Yeah.
I know it's
Lima?
Yes. Yeah.
Love that.
You are always in my head, and it's great to have this conversation. So yeah,
Well, thank you for joining me, girl.
Yeah, thank you. Have an awesome day and be the hero of your own life.
Yeah, buddy. Later.
See you. Bye.
Oh my God, guys, you are freaking awesome. I am loving this so much. I hope it's just as good as an experience as it is for me. I'm always like, I focus so much on the business perspective and my own mindset and my own emotions and making sure that I'm improving and growing the business and being there for my team. That I do, obviously my community is everything to me, but I don't often get like these one-on-ones. And so this is so freaking meaningful to me. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I really hope that this is bringing you guys value because I'm basically being selfish right now and doing it for myself. All right, so I'm gonna answer a couple of questions that some people may not want to be on video, so I want to respect that as well. But guys, I am doing these join Instagram roulettes, so just request to join me and I'm answering questions. All right, so this is from Suki Atwal. What do you do when you're not fully clear on what to do? In business, in relationships, during the quarantine, if I could get a little more context so I can actually, you know, be of service and answer that. So I'm going to take another question if we can get some clarification on that question so that I can make sure that I am answering that correctly. All right, someone, Etech T, love you, Lisa, love this platform for you. Oh, thank you, appreciate that. This is from Icho Q. I'm terrible at reading names. I do apologize, guys. What time do you usually wake up? Well, here's the key. I don't ever set an alarm. I do set a backup alarm, but I never get woken up by it. Because of my health. And I was just always waking up tired. And so Tom actually was the first person that was like, don't set an alarm. I was like, are you joking? I'm going to miss meetings. And he's like, look, your body tried to tell you something. And for so long, you know, for a long time now, we talk about entrepreneurs being grinders, never getting sleep. And sleep is like the first thing that we all ditch. And it's like, oh my God, now I know better. And that sleep is like the worst thing to ditch. It's like the thing that you need to focus on the most. And I started to notice that the less sleep I was getting, the less cognitive alertness I had. And that's very troublesome, especially in what I do. So just stopped setting alarms. And now what I do is I get in bed for 9 o'clock and lights out at like 9:05, and then I wake up when I wake up. Sometimes I wake up at 5 in the morning. Sometimes I wake up at 7 in the morning. I think it is so important now that I completely, well, not completely, I'm still learning, but now that I understand the importance of nutrition and sleep and, you know, meditating, or at least giving yourself space, all of these things have contributed into me getting my, you know, my health back on track. So I do not set an alarm, and my sleep is however long my body says I need to be in sleep by. Okay, I'm going to do one more. No, actually not one more. Let me go to, I'm going to ask you guys to come and join. Oh, I've got a hello from Singapore. I've always wanted to go to Singapore, never been. Okay, let's get some. All right, let's wait for Rockstar Roham 11. Rockstar Roham 11, come on down. Hello, Rockstar.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I can hear you.
How are you doing? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from India.
Wow. All right. Whereabouts in India?
Yes, currently I'm student,
Okay.
18 years old.
Nice. All right. Whereabouts in India are you calling from? What city?
I'm from India, Jharkhand.
Okay, I don't know that, but how are you doing down there? You okay? You guys okay there in India with the quarantine?
Ma'am, your video is lagging, I think.
I'm sorry? I think we're having internet issues. Do you have
I can't hear you.
Yeah, do you have a question, sweetie? You can't hear me.
No, yes, I think it's network connection issue.
Yeah. Oh, I can hear you, but if you can't hear me, did you want to ask the question and see if we can hear you?
Yes. I have a question. What lessons can I learn from you? Because I am in my teens right now. So when I will grow up, I want I have many dreams to follow, but I often procrastinate so much and not willing to do and put the hard works to get the things done. So I want some tips from you, ma'am.
I only caught half of that. I think it's you want tips. You're 18 and you want tips on what to do right now for your future. I think that's what you said. Oh, I'm sorry. We've got bad internet. So I think that's what you said. I don't know if you can even hear my response, but I'll answer it in a way. The biggest thing is work on your mindset, right? Like everything I've been talking about in this whole IG live today has been mindset, mindset, mindset. If you don't feel good about yourself, you've got to focus on mindset. If you're in a bad relationship, you've got to focus on mindset. And we've lost him. So, oh, such a shame. All right, guys, I'm going to take some more questions. Oh, I think someone was saying he was talking about procrastination. Didn't hear that. Bad now. Okay, I'm going to add humble hinder. Humble hinder. Come on down. Waiting for humble hinder. Hinder, no. All right, next person. Oh, let's try humble hinder again. Oh, it's unable to join. That's weird. All right, well, sorry, humble hinder. Not sure why. All right. Guys, if you are joining, I am answering questions and I'm doing Instagram roulette where I'm getting people to join me with questions. Oh, I see a black screen. I only see a black screen. Can you hear us? And no. All right. Sorry, guys. This is definitely the downside of doing these is that you never know what you're going to get. So I am. Let's have a look. And I'm just randomly picking people, by the way. I have no idea who you guys are. Could you call Irozabi, could you call me? Hello!
Oh my god! Hi, Lisa!
What's up, sweetie?
Oh my god, how are you, Lisa?
Good, how are you? What's your name
I'm
and where are
good.
you calling from?
I'm Isabella. I'm calling from Bangkok, Thailand.
Wow. Do you live there?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I do.
Okay. How long
My,
you Go ahead.
sorry?
I was just gonna ask if you were born there, how long you've been living there.
Oh yeah, I was born here. I went to the US for school, so.
Okay, I was gonna say your accent's like your English is perfect.
Thank you.
What's your question, sweetie?
My question is about like expression. I look up to you a lot because you're very good at like telling a story. So I wanted to know how do you like freely and authentically like express yourself, and what things did you have to do to like get there in order to like be where you are, that you're able to tell your story so freely?
Yeah, thank you. It has been a massive and long evolution, right? I wish it was like one thing and, you know, wake up tomorrow and do this and you'll feel the same. And I'm still exploring what that is like for me and what that means for me to be truly expressive in my own, you know, body and how I am. So it really took time. So it was a small win time and time and time again. When we started Quest, I didn't have confidence. I was definitely behind the scenes. I was in a hairnet every day. I was in sweats every day. I didn't feel great about myself. I was just trying to keep the company alive, and I was just working every day, not thinking about myself at all. And then once we transitioned from Quest to Impact Theory, I started to like realize that how much of myself I wasn't allowing to come out because I was so worried about having anything negative come my way and that having an effect on the company. And I didn't realize that though until I stepped out of it, which is crazy. But once I stepped out of it, I was like, wow, I didn't do my hair funky. I wasn't talking about my health. So I had suffered from health issues for a year while we were still running Quest. And I didn't tell anybody because I was so embarrassed about being one of the co-founders of one of the largest nutrition companies in the world and not being able to eat our product. Like the shame and the guilt and the embarrassment, I just hid it. And I was like, I didn't want that to affect my husband. I didn't want that to affect his business partners. And it wasn't until I stepped away that I actually started to acknowledge and realize that I was holding myself back. So I think the first key is acknowledging that you're doing it. I assume that because you're asking the question, there's a part of you that's already feeling that you're not able to express your feelings or your true expression. Is that right?
Yeah,
okay.
like I want to tell my story, but it's difficult for me to express similar to how you do, like very freely, authentically, just owning your story and being yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would start to say, what are you afraid of?
Judgment.
From who?
Just everyone, like what other people think, I think.
Okay, so let's say you get judgment and they hate what you say. Then what? What's the worst that can happen?
I guess I just have to kind of sit with that pain and like figure it out. I don't think it's going to kill me. And I guess I have to realize that. Like, what, did you ever go through that? Or were you always just, expression was just joy for you? It was just your passion? Or
not at all. I was crippled by judgment, which is why I never stepped in front of the camera, which is why I never was on social at all, because I just was so afraid to be judged and that to dent my ego. And I think that that's where it had to stem from, right? Is like, why was I feeling badly about myself, and why was I so fragile that if someone said something negative towards me, that I would take it to be truth? Right? What was it that I would listen to somebody else's opinion of me over my own opinion of myself? And so I really had to dig inwards and think about what that was. Okay, Lisa, you're not worthy. Well, why aren't you worthy? Well, you know, I don't think that I'm pretty. Okay, why don't you think you're pretty? Okay, because I was told and teased as a kid that I had a big nose, that I had braces, right? So I started to just break it down. And then I started to realize, okay, well, what if right now someone says you're terrible? Okay, yes, that would hurt, but why would I believe it? Like, why would I take that to be truth and not believe that I'm, you know, I believe otherwise? And so I had to dissect that. And it comes down to, I didn't believe in myself. I didn't think highly of myself. And so you have to work on that first. Like, what are the things that you can be proud of about yourself? Then I would look at, okay, start working on those, start working on what you can be proud of. I'm all about the small little daily wins, right? I've done cold showers before. Even that, it's like, okay, I told myself I was going to do a cold shower and I did a cold shower. I'm proud of myself. Like, doing things that allow you to feel good about yourself is going to be super freaking important. And then I go to, okay, so for instance, let's take Women of Impact. Perfect example, right? I had never really been in front of the camera before. I wasn't confident that I would be good, especially when my husband is so good, people I knew were going to compare. So it's like, okay, I have a choice. I can protect myself and guard myself and never sit in front of the camera, or I can say, I'm going to go for it and have the judgment. But I was like, okay, what are the pros and cons of both? All right, so being behind the camera, okay. The pros of being behind the camera, never stepping up front, is not to get hate thrown my way, not to get judged, right? But the truth is, we're always going to be judged, whether it's from our family, our friends, our partners, and it may not be, people may not mean to judge you, but they're going to. But these are strangers. Okay, I could deal with that. I could maybe block out the strangers and stay behind the camera. What are the pros and cons of being in front of the camera? When I started to realize, like, tell your story once. And I don't know if I can put you on the spot, but if you want to share your story, but if you share your story, share it once, get feedback. I shared my story once and someone was like, whoa, Lisa, I didn't know you went through gut issues. I do too. Thank you so much for sharing. And I was like, huh. All right, sharing the story has helped other people. Not sharing the story is me trying to protect my ego. Which one
Right.
outweighs which? And I just had to look and be honest and be like, okay, is what I am getting from helping people outweigh the dent of my ego that may come? And I said,
Right.
yes. And I literally said, Lisa, you're not helping people because you're so worried that people aren't going to like your story. Like, I can't live with myself. That cannot be the story I tell myself about myself. It cannot be the story. I will not go to bed at night and tell myself, Lisa, you didn't help someone because of your freaking ego. So I just I was harsh with myself. I told myself the real reality of helping people and not helping people, speaking out and not speaking out. So when I started Women of Impact, over time, I'd given myself so many wins that now when people come back with negativity, I look at it and go, okay, is this truth? Because there can be power in someone being negative. There can be power in someone being judgmental. There can be power in that. But you have to be careful not to take it as truth. So I look at comments. I look to see how I take it in. So one comment I got, which was like, oh my God, Lisa, I love the show, but I actually don't know if I can watch it because your hair and the set looks like it was made in the 90s. And so I was like, all right, I've got an opportunity. I've got a choice. I can listen to him and go, oh my God, okay, cool. I so want to be liked and I so want someone to watch this show that I'm going to change my hair and I'm going to change the set. Or I can say, I am here to be authentically myself. And that's actually my purpose. That's what I want to spread. Be authentically yourself. And so who am I to try to be authentically myself and change because someone doesn't like the way I look? So I had to just go back and go, okay, Lisa, this is about your ego. She didn't mean about your ego. This is how she's feeling. And I replied and I was like, thank you so much for your honest feedback, because they were being honest. Thank you so much for your honest feedback. But this is me. And I'm sad that if my content isn't powerful enough to kind of take away from the things you don't like, I'm sad about it, but this is me. And so if you can't watch it with utter respect, then you should unsubscribe. But you have to work to get there. So going back to, I don't know if you're comfortable to share your story, maybe just start with one person, right? Start with one person in your life that may not know it.
Yeah.
And share it and get that small win. Then maybe come out to some more people and tell the story and get the small win. But be careful knowing, or go into it knowing, some people are going to hate, some people are going to judge, but it's not about you. And if you can repeat that to yourself, like that's what I did. It's not about you, Lisa. It's not about you, Lisa. It's not about you, Lisa. One other very quick story that I want to share is I did my first public talk about a year ago now, and I was really unhealthy. My gut was just a mess. I've actually progressed and got way healthier, but back then I was maybe 15 pounds lighter. And I did a talk, and then I posted a video. And on the video, somebody had commented, I don't think somebody that looks like you should be promoted because you're promoting unhealthy eating. And here I am now, struggling with my own health. I wish I could eat, but I can't. Initially, it really upset me because I'm like, I can't fucking eat. Right? That was my first reaction. I can't fucking eat. But then I just stopped and I said, it isn't about me. Okay, if I know it's not about me, how do I understand where they're coming from? Okay, I've triggered something in them. Once I realized this person probably has had or has health issues or has eating issues. And so what probably happened was they're trying to stay positive. They probably clicked on my video thinking, oh, Lisa, it says motivation. They click on it and they see someone that they think is maybe starving themselves. And it's triggered something. In that trigger, they spilled hate to me.
Right.
Okay, now that I've broken it down, I get it. Like now I don't feel shitty about myself that someone made a negative comment. So if you're getting judged, if you're getting that, like take those small wins, speak up, speak out, get the feedback, but don't take it as truth. What is the phrase, like separate the message from the messenger and things like that. So
and you also made me realize something I think that's quite important that I want to touch on, is the fact that it was my ego and not so much what everyone else was kind of projecting onto me, but it was actually what I'm too locked up worried about, what I'm worried about what other people think. And I think you shed some light on that for me, and I really want to work on that. Just it's my ego, I guess, of worrying about what other people think too much. Wow. Thank you, Lisa.
Oh, well, thank you girls so much.
Amazing.
Appreciate meeting you, and thank you for joining.
Thank you. Stay safe. Wash your
You
hands,
too, sweetie.
everyone.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Take care, my dear.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, guys, I just realized the time. It is 11:05, and I have another shoot. This is my second live today, and I have another shoot. But going back to something that I'd said earlier is that I'm really paying attention because the last couple of days I've not been feeling great. So I have recognized that I am walking along that fine edge, which is exactly why I did not do an IG story today, which is why I actually haven't even posted today, because I know that everything is in my power. And because everything is in my power, I have the power to either push myself or to back off. And so I am choosing to be very aware and stay in tune with exactly how I'm feeling. So guys, right now, while you're at home in quarantine, whether it's a health issue or a relationship problem or a work issue or a finance thing that you're going through, I would say make sure that you take care of yourself and that you're really assessing how your mindset is having an effect. Because I want to look, I don't know about you guys, but I want to look back at this time and say, oh my God, that was so much fun. And I made the most of a shitty situation, because it is a shitty situation, but we made the most of it. And so then now, right now, in fact, as you stop watching this live, the second I switch off, I want you guys to write a list of what you want to look back on and say how amazing this was. Like, what would make this moment amazing? And I've said this before, but like, I've started to take bubble baths with my husband, even though he doesn't like them. I have told him like that I really love them, and so they've become meaningful to me. So I want to look back and be like, oh my God, those were the times that we really connected in the bathtub. So I'm actually think about this in real time, guys. I really, really am. And I do not want to look back at this time and be like, Lisa, that was the time that you ran yourself into the ground and you ruined your health and you were doing so well and you took steps back. Like, I just won't do that. I will not take steps back. And so I'm owning it. I'm making adjustments accordingly. And yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed this, guys. I am doing more IG lives. I'm bringing on other people as well, doing some interviews, and I'm also doing these ones where I'm just connecting with you guys. So please do give me a bunch of feedback. I'm always looking to improve. So whether it's bad feedback or positive feedback or constructive, I should say, I want constructive feedback, good and bad, so that I can always improve. All right, and there we have it. Until next time, guys, be the hero of your own life. Peace out.